For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast is fueled by the Man Shake. I lost 30 kilos in 10 months using this meal replacement shake. If you want to support the show and Max and my weight loss journey, or to even start your own, click the link in the description below. The Man Shake. Real blokes, real results.
For the Players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast with over 40 years of playing PlayStation and 6+ years in that games community combined. I'd like to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation.
This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and 9 a.m. on YouTube. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, please check out our socials: Facebook, Discord, Instagram, Twitter. All of our links are in the description below.
And also, if you want to follow us on Twitter, the links are right down there. We never promote our Twitter enough, but they are right there. If you want to, wait, hang on, what was it? If you want to support the show as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturist, where you can watch us record this show live. You can become part of the chat and just get in on the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are on those Apple podcasts, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. Or if you are on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. And if you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturist, as well as our merchandise store, popculturist.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. For those watching the video version, you'll notice very quickly that Max and I are not in the studio today. Well, I am, but Max is not. Why aren't you here, Max?
My wife's not feeling too well, so it's handy for me to be close at hand as opposed to the 20-minute drive to and from.
Yeah, it's
the
fun.
Studio.
Well, and that's like once again, the big benefit of a pandemic is it's forced us to adapt, and we've been able to adapt today. So how you been? How's things?
Yeah, not too bad, man. It's been an all right week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And nothing stand out?
Nothing. No, not really. Just work stuff. Just, being painful. I work in a government facility, so every couple of years I need to renew my security clearance, which means I need to get national police checks and fill out a bunch of paperwork that my work hasn't provided me with yet, and my card expires in a week, so we will see how that all pans out.
Get excited.
In the future.
That sounds like a future Max's problem, or a future Max's boss's problem.
So it sounds like Max might be having some time off work soon.
Oh, man, they better pay you, because what are you going to do? It's not your fault.
So we'll see what happens. What about yourself? How's your week been?
Yeah, my week's been the same, man. It's pretty low key. Not a whole lot going on. Just the usual, the work, the living. I've been playing some games. Before we get into the big gamey section of the show, one section that has started this year. For those that don't know, the pop culturist, this show For the Players, Max and I, we are both fueled by the Man Shake. The Man Shake is a weight loss shake that I used to lose 30 kilos last year, and Max is jumping on the train this year. How's that going for you, Max?
So it's been just shy of 2 weeks now, and I am at 4.2 kilos lost.
Holy fuck!
So it's going pretty good, you could say.
That's amazing. Are you happy with? You got to be happy with that, right? You should be fucking stoked with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
That's amazing. And so what are you doing? Just the shakes and like the watching dinners and stuff?
Yeah, literally just, eating shakes for lunch and then being more conscious about the crap that I eat at nighttime. So I'm now, eating a lot healthier than what I was. Smaller portion sizes, and then I've got a bigger fasting window. So I now no longer... I have a 14-hour period where I just don't eat.
Yeah, which I have the same. It's those little things that change everything.
And then obviously I'm drinking a lot more water than I normally would, and
hot damn! You and I are gonna have what I'm thinking.
Hopefully PAX happens this year.
Man, we are both gonna be so pretty for PAX. This is gonna be so good.
It'll be nice to not be a part of the hot, sweaty mess that is PAX.
Yeah, well, because the PAX Australia did change all their Twitter, all their socials this week to PAX 2021. I think they're being very hopeful, but I'm going to run with it. That's the goal for this year, because as I said, so last year I lost 30 kilos on it, so I was pretty for PAX. I still got another 10 kilos that I want to go, and my my weight loss is a lot slower now because I've pretty much lost a big hunk of what I can lose. So I'm not like my weekly updates is like 400 grams, 500 grams.
Yes,
and then
I'm still in that honeymoon period of like the big numbers for now.
where everything just absolutely goes hard. Yeah, it's a good time. But yeah, so hopefully come the end of the year, you know, I think collectively we should at least get like 50 kilos out. I reckon you drop 20. What do you reckon?
Yeah. By September.
What is the goal? What's
October.
like not goal weight because you know, but do you have a total amount you'd like to lose?
Probably about 30 to 40.
Holy shit! Well, there you go. If we can both come out, that we're gonna look so good. Yeah. Well, anyway, if you want to kick off your 2021 and join both Max and I on this weight loss journey, you can. There is a link in the description below. It's the bit.ly links, bit.ly/FTP Manshake. If you use that link, it lets them know that you're coming through from us. And, you know, there's a bunch of discounts and stuff in there as well. It would be fantastic for you to help support us, support the show, and, you know, change your life a little bit. It's good fun. But, Max, that aside, what have you been playing this week?
So Hitman 3, obviously the big release this week, so I dove into that pretty hard.
Yeah, that has been pretty much solely what I've played this week. So I before the start of the week, so before the game released on the Tuesday for us, I reinstalled Hitman 1 on the PS5 from the PS4 when I got it for PS Plus yonks back.
Yep.
That game's a blast. And then, because I'm an idiot, when we installed 3, I then imported the legacy pack. Because because you own it, you can bring in. I'm like, sweet. Yeah. All right, so I brought in the original things, not forgetting that it would probably the game would probably try to make me play that first. So I'm playing it, and then I'm doing the same training missions again. And I'm like, but I've already seen this. What have I done? Turns out I'm an idiot, and I just started playing Hitman 1 again. My side note, it looks fucking fantastic on PS4.
It looks, yeah.
But then Hitman 3 alone, whoa.
So how far through Hitman 3 are you?
So I'm into I believe it's the second mission. But
Dartmoor Manor?
Whatever the manor is. Reason being is I did the first mission, which is in Dubai, like 3 times. Because I see the challenges and I'm all like, maybe I should try this, and then I finish it and I get my hit, and I'm like, all right, let's run it again and try a bunch of other paths.
Well, see, I'm also with you. I'm up to the second mission, but that's because I've done the second mission about 8 times now.
Oh, wait, because you failed it or because you just want to keep doing it?
No, because I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's I've got some stories about that mission. See, I've worked out that I would make a terrible hitman. I'm not patient at all.
No.
So one of the things that I can't remember if they introduced it in 1 and 2, but because I haven't played them in a very long time. But in Hitman 3, when you're playing on the default professional difficulty, it gives you kind of waymarks of story beats of how you can get through this mission. So for number 2, it's basically a murder mystery party. So they're like, hey, you should get a disguise as an investigator, and you just assume the role of the investigator, complete the task, and then you'll have your opportunity to take out your target and get all the necessary stuff that you need to get. I'm like, okay, sounds good, great, love it. Get my disguise, and I'm like, my target's just walking down the stairs and no one's around me. I'm just gonna pop her in the face and then just leave, and that's what I did. just popped her in the face from across the courtyard and then just walked out, and they're like, cool, mission complete, but you missed this and this, would you like to go again? I'm like, yes, I would love to go again.
See, that's the thing that I'm loving about this game, though, is its complete level of freedom of choice. Like, as you said, like, I go in there with my mission, and I'm like, all right, the game is telling me that I need to do this, so I have to follow those steps. So I'm doing the murder mystery one right now as well. So I'm the investigator, and I'm interviewing everyone, being like, yes, I'm getting deep in character. I'm like, yes, let's investigate every room, and let's look at all the corners, let's interrogate everyone. And and I've walked past my target like 4 times. I probably could have shot her by now, like similar to what you did, but I'm like, you know what, we'll go with it. And that's the fun, because I feel like I'm playing like a game within a game right now. It's like I know that game is coming. I know I've got to shoot her in the face, but I'm just gonna do a bunch of other things while I'm here. And it's almost making it better because of it. So those little story beat things are in one, or they were released in one. I haven't played two. So, you'll eavesdrop and you'll hear things that are happening, and you use that information to build this. What do they call story missions? I think so. There's the main contract, and then there's story missions. So there's things without it that it can either help you go on a different path to your contract, or they can open up varying ways to eliminate them. So an example being in the flight test, which is the final test, which is the second tutorial mission. They're all variants on how to take out your contract. So it's a gentleman, and there's because it's at a hangout, there's a fighter jet. You can make him blow up in the fighter jet. You can poison him and then just fucking drown him in the toilet. Or you can just shoot him in the face, and all these different things. So he's a vodka. Because it's a Russian base. There's vodka. You can poison the vodka. He'll drink the vodka and he dies. So there's a bunch of little things you can hear to build up that. Same goes for the first mission, because it's in Dubai, and it's all like, this person's here, go talk to them, and it can give you. It's not entirely a step by step on how to get your objective, but it's enough to push you in the right direction. So if you follow those beats, you can have something cool. I was able to lure. It's not really spoilers, because it's all about shooting people in the face. It's not story spoilers. Dubai, I was able to lure them both into this one room for a meeting, and I locked the room down, and I shot them in the face, and then I just escaped out the window.
For my second run through the murder mystery, I took the role of the photographer.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm here to take the family portrait. So the maid's like, all right, I'll get everyone. They brought my contract out, sat her in front of me. I blinded everyone with the flash of the camera, shot her and left. Then the next time I poisoned a bottle of water and gave it to the maid, and the maid delivered it to her, and she died from there's just so many innovative ways. I think the best one was I disguised myself as her bodyguard, and I smacked her in the back of the head with a banana and choked her out with it, on the stairs. I'm like, okay, this is I'm in. I'm loving this game.
It's complete variance, but the funnest way about it, I because they are essentially working in level structures, right? So it's here is your level. It's intricate because it's only this one space, and there's a lot we can do within this one space. They've been able to add a lot of finesse and small details that really can sort of have you shape the game how you want it to be.
And then obviously the benefit to completing the same level over and over again is you gain experience in that level, and that allows you to change your starting equipment. So, for instance, now I can take a lockpick in with me instead of having to find one, and then you can leave yourself dead drops to pick up supplies. So, if you want to leave a crowbar for yourself, so you can get into different areas of the manor. You can have a different starting location. So instead of starting outside of the manor and having to break in, you can start with the disguise.
As a waiter or a chef or something.
You can be a gardener or a waiter or a housemaid So there's very different ways to tackle the same objective, and I think they handle it really well. And these are the guys who are doing the upcoming James Bond game, and I am now super keen.
Well, saying that, I've not seen a lot of James Bond films. The one that I distinctly remember seeing last was Spectre, and at the end of Spectre, there's they go to what was, Daniel Craig Bond's childhood home, and it looks exactly like this manor. Yeah. So I'm like, oh shit, that it's gonna be good. I have confidence that what James Bond will be awesome. Yeah. Because here, I think there's not a lot of big action set pieces in this. So if they can take the DNA of what Hitman is, bring it to James Bond, and then add the big set pieces, the big car chases. Pardon me, and plus with cool gadgets and whatnot, shoo in.
So I haven't had a chance to try it out in VR yet, because when I installed the game, I forgot to install the PlayStation 4 version as well, because obviously the caveat to the PSVR is you must play on the PlayStation 4 version, which is fine. So hopefully next weekend or next time we record, I will have something to talk about with that. I hope to dive into it this week at some point.
I'll try to give it a go as well. The difficulty is obviously the PS5's in this room, and I have to move the tables and shit around, and that takes time and effort.
Well, it might not be so bad because it's not PlayStation Move controllers. It's using the DualShock, so it might be
I probably could just sit here.
It might be a very easy seated experience. Yeah.
Like you're thinking. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all I've been playing. And we're still early days in the game, of course.
Yeah.
So we'll have more as the time comes. But and it's reviewing really well, which is great for you. You know,
it's fantastic for me. Absolutely great.
Fucking suck, but that's fine.
I've now joined you on our scoreboard for the PopC draft.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, your score is 0 because your only game's been cancelled or delayed into next year.
Hogwarts Legacy's been delayed into next year. And
Hitman 3 just came out of the gates running.
Yeah,
it's been absolutely badass.
At least one of my games has got a release date now. We'll get to that in just a little while. But before we do that, let's jump into the news. The section we call Inform the Players. We tell you about what happened this week in PlayStation.
So,
game that fucked you in the draft last year.
Everyone knows that Resident Evil's the big news this week, but I'll leave that for Ryan. So let's kick things off with Cyberpunk 2077. So despite its rocky and disastrous launch and all of its refunds, shortly after the game's release, news broke that Cyberpunk had sold 13 million copies. So a report from Superdata has claimed that Cyberpunk 2077 had the biggest digital launch of any game ever. According to Superdata, that's based on both digital revenue and digital units sold. So take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But good for them. In other Cyberpunk news, update 1.10 is now live, weighing in at 16.9 gig. Cyberpunk 2077 update 1.10, quote, lays the groundwork for the upcoming patches, according to CD Projekt Red, and it's out right now on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 via backwards compatibility. In their patch notes, they have a specific subsection for just PlayStation consoles, along with the rest of their bug fixes.
Positive. That's positive news. So this went out probably, I think, overnight from when we're recording now on the Saturday.
Late yesterday, yeah.
So late Friday, Australian time. I'm still not going it's still installed, and I'll still take all the updates, and until I hear something saying that, hey, this update kind of really did a good job, I'll probably check it out. But, yeah, man.
It is no longer installed on my console. I still have my disc copy sitting next to me, but I don't think I'm going to touch it until at least these initial 3 patches that they've promised hit. Once all 3 of those are in, I'll give it another burl. If I'm still not satisfied, I think I'll wait for the next gen upgrade.
Yeah, the hurdle that I'm having is I'm starting to get a little, not paranoid's not the wrong, suspicious that we may not even see these next gen versions. Like, they're vaguely put at the back end of this year, and that puts it a year after the console release. Now, granted, many people may have consoles by the end of this year, so they're probably excited for it, but it's just like, it just feels way too late.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm yawning. It feels way too late. 12 months after the game releases, who's going to care? But, well, once again, the same thing could have been said to No Man's Sky. And No Man's Sky has nothing but demonstrated incredible potential and growth in that time. So they've, even though the game came out like 2 years ago, like, if you were to grab it now, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the big bit of news this week, Max, and I really appreciate you holding off and letting me read it out. Thank you so much. On Friday, that was the 22nd of January, Australian time, Resident Evil had a big old showcase for their upcoming Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8. It happened about 9 in the morning, which was great. So I got to work, I made a coffee, and I sat down. I'm like, this is work. And then I watched it. So in this showcase for about half an hour, we did see some gameplay, some combat, and sort of some cinematic-y looking things, which is fantastic. It did also confirm the release date of May the 7th of this year. They announced it'll be coming to PS5, Xbox One, as Xbox Series X, as well as the PS4, the Xbox One, whatever. Right, so it's coming everywhere now. It was also announced that they are packaging in a deathmatch style multiplayer game called Reverse. The idea behind it is to look back at the last 25 years of Resident Evil in a multiplayer setting. So, Claire could shoot, fucking
it kind of seems cool.
Claire
you essentially play as one of the mainline characters, and then when you die, you become something else.
Yeah. Well,
to get your revenge.
we'll run through the news and we'll break it down bit by bit, I think, because I've got, of course, we both have plenty to say. There is a playable demo live now on the PS5. It is titled Maiden, and it does give you a bit of a look and a feel of the world and some of the location you'll be exploring. Some things to note, though. Resident Evil Village will continue its first-person combat styles, very similar to, almost exactly to Resident Evil 7, but the gameplay showed off some new melee elements like blocking and countering. We'll get into, there was blocking Resident Evil 7, but not the same way. The inventory has been updated to look more like the Resident Evil 4's Tetris style approach, where you had to sort of move and rotate things in order to fit them in the canister. From recollection, Resident Evil 7 had something similar, but this looks to be a bit more of an updated version of that again. They announced that the merchant has returned. He has since been renamed the Duke. He'll be buying and selling all your weapons, except he is no longer a thin dude in a robe. He is now a very large gentleman in the back of a wagon. But in terms of Resident Evil 4 remake news, because many folks actually, we'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. So Max, did you watch the full showcase?
I watched it this morning.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to watch it yesterday. I watched it this morning. So after watching all the gameplay stuff, after watching all the reveals, I did what any normal person who wanted more information, I went to Reddit. Now on Reddit, some people have picked apart a lot of the videos, and they believe that they've found the location of where this game is being set.
Okay.
So, by extrapolating the currency that the Duke gives you when you sell weapons to him. So it looks like it's going to be in... Did I write it down? I don't think I wrote it down. So somewhere in like the Transylvania style setting, which seems, rather
so that sort of European-y area.
Yeah, the European-y area, which we kind of already knew from the trailers that we've seen in the past.
Yeah. And it does, and it's giving off the same vibe that we got from Resident Evil 4, so it's unsurprising that they would look in that similar region.
Yeah, I mean, it's super cool that we're now playing again in a creepy village, and there just happens to be a big old scary castle.
Yeah, with a giant woman in it. Now, like, that's one thing. So Lady Dumitrescu, I believe is how you pronounce it, she is what looks to be kind of the big bad in this one. There's talk about you knowing her younger brother, so maybe there's a connection to at least the Bakers or Redfield or something there that asks a lot of questions. Where's the connection, or is it a character we meet earlier in the game that's different to what was in 7?
Maybe it's the Duke.
Maybe it is the Duke. She's really tall and thin. He's really short and fat. Like, it's the complete opposites. But yeah, the Twitter, they have gone hard for this tall vampire woman. Everyone is just men, women, those that sit in different spaces. Everyone is just thirsting for this woman right now.
Oh yeah.
Is it doing it for you?
I think it's interesting that they've taken a more, like, obviously Resident Evil has always been a supernatural video game. You're playing, you're fighting zombies, but they've gone that step further and they've introduced these vampires
and werewolves as well, from reports from months back.
Yeah,
and the imagery alone. So the imagery is also changed for the game. Yeah. It has where the logo was originally just Chris Redfield in like over a mountainscape, looking all fucking morose, not morose, sad looking. What's we're looking for, like angsty. But it's since shifted to like a split where half is his face, half is that of a wolf. So it looks as if all that werewolf stuff is true. We did see that in the original trailer, but it's the double down on it, which is even better again. Yeah,
I think it's always good to change things up a bit because, obviously to a degree, I feel like the zombie games have been played out.
Yeah.
And obviously Resident Evil throughout its history has had different enemies. Like you look back at Resident Evil 4 where they're not zombies, they're kind of this parasite or parasitic entities that are
which made a return in Resident Evil 3 remake. So like they're relinking everything together, and the fact that they're using a lab grown virus here, they there is a bit of freedom here to do whatever they want. Like, they can make a new virus, or the virus mutates, because that happens. We're learning right now about viruses mutating in our own fucking global pandemic. So there's a lot that they can do to bring in these new enemies, and I think it does give it that more supernatural feel rather than just the zombie feel. So like, I'm super down for it. Like, I'm loving everything that I'm seeing here. Now, going into this, everyone, I've discussed ad nauseum at this point how often that I am just in love with Resident Evil, and it has become my new favorite horror related franchise. So much so that like Silent Hill can now suck it. It's out of here. It's gone. It's bye.
So the big question is, Ryan, which edition are you buying? You buying the big box with the statue?
I am buying the statue, motherfucker, because I made some mistakes in my past, Max. See,
yeah, okay.
The mistakes in my past were I was unaware how much I was going to love Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough.
So we received review copies to them, thanks to Capcom Australia, of course. But I was like, I don't know whether I'm going to love it or not, so I'm not going to spend the money on the statue. And now that I've come to realize that, Resident Evil 2 alone became one of my games of last year, if not one of the games, literally one of the games of generation for me, I'm like, fuck, I really wish I bought that statue. Like, it does have the cool things in this collection as well. Like, it had the cool, the card suit keys, which is mad. But it's a statue of Chris Redfield that I want. And then with 3, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that Jill Valentine statue's all right. But I didn't know whether I'm going to like, because I thought maybe Resident Evil 2 just fluked me. Nope. Resident Evil 3 Remake was dope as well. Like, fuck. And I'm not missing out this time. I have been refreshing EB games for almost on the hour every hour since the announcement. Everything's gone quiet. They've not mentioned anything about it releasing here, and it's killing me. It's killing me, Max. But I need it. I need it so bad. But because like everything about this game is just doing it for me. It's cool. It spooks. I love Resident Evil 7 as well. That had a lot of good things into it.
Yeah, I'm really glad they are progressing that story. Like, although it is a new numbered title, it's definitely it's a direct follow-on from that of 7.
Yeah, so you are still playing as Ethan, which they say his name like 15 times in this game, in the trailer at least. So like that part has got me intrigued. And now that we're working on this almost parallel timeline with the remakes, they're changing the narrative. Because I've said it before, with Resident Evil, there's like 35 games or something crazy. So the actual canon understanding of what the virus is and the outbreak and Umbrella and Chris and Claire and whatever, it's so muddled. They're actually like restructuring the story right now. So with 2 and 3, with 2, with 7, they sort of soft rebooted it, but they've brought in they've mixed that with 2, and then 2 went into 3, and now 3 is going into Village, and then presumably 4 will then get involved as well, as we said, like the parasite stuff was seen in 3 Remake, and I think we're going to see more hints of it here in Resident Evil Village, which will then lead to this potential remake that's in the works. But before we get into the remake chats, because there is some news here, you and I have both played the Maiden demo. So as we mentioned, the free demo dropped yesterday. It's about a 5-10 minute, if you want to sort of like wander around a little bit. It's a very small showcase piece, very similar to like the kitchen demo for 7. It looks as if it's something that's not going to take place in the game at all. It is a complete vertical slice, and it's all about showing you the world and giving you a feel for what you're going to expect. So you start in a dungeon, and that you have to escape the dungeon via a series of relatively simple puzzles. You then enter sort of a lobby of a house, like a mansion-y sort of feel. Then it's all about you escaping. I did it in probably under 10 minutes, easily. I didn't actually time it, but I probably should have. It was pretty straightforward, but it gave me such a good feel. Because running on the PS5, it's using HDR, it's looking immaculate, like everything is gross and shiny, that everything makes you feel uncomfortable. I was playing with the surround headphones on. I was actually using the pulses as well, even though I'm not a big fan of them. I was like, I'll give them a whirl. And the 3D space was awesome, because as you're walking around, you're hearing claps and giggles and noise and bumps and all happening around you. And I believe it set a really, really perfect tonal piece for what this game looks to be. and it's preaching to the choir. I'm already sold, but it helped. What's your thoughts, Max?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think I played it through twice because the first time I played it through was when it first launched, and then I told my wife about it, and then she got annoyed that I didn't let her take part in the viewing of the game, so I quickly ran through it this morning for her. So I think the first time about 10 minutes, the second time because I knew exactly where everything was, took about 2.5 minutes. Yeah. But it's definitely that. It's just a visual showpiece of this is the kind of atmosphere we're going for. It's the same controls you know and love from 7. It has the same feel. It's just, I think it's a very nice slice of what we can expect to come out of the game. I was already on board. Resident Evil is by far my favorite horror franchise in gaming. And hearing that it's coming out so soon is awesome.
Yeah, having been my number 1 draft pick for this year as well makes it even better, knowing that it's coming out in May. That's still like 4 months away, but that is the perfect amount of time to announce a date and deliver.
Yeah.
And that's what's got me excited. It's no window, it's that. But so something we were discussing before we went live was whether, I believe that, similar to the kitchen demo, this is a showcase. This is not part of the game itself. And if it's anything like 7, we'll probably see at least 2 more demos. We'll see as like with 7, we had the kitchen demo, then the sort of ghost huntery-esque field demo, then the one where you are taking on the mother in the shack. So those 2 are straight pulls from the game, where the first one wasn't. So I'm going to say at least 1 more demo will drop before release, and that is what I'm excited to see. Because I think if we get 1 more out, that'll give us a bit more about the game. It might be something more in the village itself rather than in the house. But
it might be nice to just get a feel for the combat, because obviously this is very much a visual walkthrough. There is no combat or anything in this Maiden demo.
But so to add to that, what we're seeing here it is the same feels as 7, right? Same feels as 2 and 1, with the idea of a lot of it's probably going to take place in this one location, which is a house. And Resident Evil has such a good history, legacy, and skill in making a house feel awesome. And if they're making it a castle, there's multiple levels and floors and rooms, and there is so much you can do, and they can almost disregard any floor plan they want to, which is it's like in 2 when you've got the police station, and then you expand on it, and there's so much you can explore, and then you leave and you come back to it later, which I hope they do that, because they did that with 7 as well. The potential here is so high, and I even though my excitement is quite high, I'm not worried that I'm overhyping it or overhyping myself. I think my expectations are pretty reasonable, and Capcom have not done anything recently that make me think otherwise.
Oh man, Capcom have been killing it for the last few years, so I have all the faith that they're gonna.
But to add to this though, so as we know, this is a PS5 game. At least initially, that was the entire plan. They have, as we said, they since rolled back to release a PS4 version. This brings up a couple questions, Max. Do you think there's any concerns about these studios, downscaling to have a last gen or upscaling to bring it to next gen? And what does this mean for VR?
I mean, it depends on how they did it, because like you said, it was originally for PlayStation 5. Have they made the PlayStation 5 version first and then scaled that back to run on an earlier system? Because there's 120 million plus PS4s out there. Like that's nothing shy to be like, it's a good incentive to make a PS4 version of this game. With how difficult it is to get a console for a PS5 console as it is, that'd be crazy to not cater to that 120 million user base.
Yeah, and
it seems pointless. It does mean that we may not get the VR version. And as much as I'm like, I really wish it had VR version, I didn't finish 7 in VR because I'm a big chicken.
Yeah.
So I want the idea of a VR, but I don't think I would ever actually do it because it's just too spooky.
So I think you're spot on there, right? So, there's so many units out there. It's worth the investment, and from the information that I've seen and that I've sought out, it does look as if they were building a PS5 first, and now they've since scaled back to 4, which is fine. Like, that is a much easier way to do it. And the fact that this is a PS5 version, as you said, it's very unlikely. I'm going to say near impossible that there is going to be a VR version of this game, because this wasn't planned for that. Because right now, every PSVR game must be a PS4 version.
Yeah.
So I'm not feeling too hopeful about that, but there's a lot. And in terms of Reverse, it looks cool. It looks interesting. I've since signed up for the Resident Evil Ambassador program, which provides me access to the beta for Reverse. So that is already installed on my console, ready to go. So I'll be spending a bit of time with that over the coming week when those date windows do drop, and I'll have some things to say. Hopefully next week, if not the week after.
Cool.
But yeah, like it's multiplayer, which is not really my wheelhouse, my forte, but I'm down for it nonetheless. But one thing we've been alluding to this whole time, Max, is Resident Evil 4 remakes. So one thing, a lot of people that I saw in the chat of the showcase were like, "Where's Resident Evil 4 remake?" I'm like, "You're kind of getting it, dude. It's in front of you." The Resident Evil 4 remake has undergone a bit of development reboot following a clash in direction, according to Video Games Chronicle. The site reports that Resident Evil 3 Team M2 has had its role dramatically reduced as Capcom Division 1 takes over production of the title, which, according to VGC, could push it back as far as 2023. The two studios have been unable to agree on a direction for the remake of what may consider to be the greatest Resident Evil entry. Following the backlash of last year's Resident Evil 3 remake, M2 supposedly wanted to create a very faithful remake that sticks to the template of Resident Evil 4. Capcom, meanwhile, wants to have the remake introduce unique takes on those original features, story beats, and environments. At its core, the developer wants to expand on what it already has rather than sticking to what it knows. Quote, sources said that the Resident Evil 4 remake would now be partially rebooted under the new mandate, which could see its release delayed by as much as a year into 2023. End quote. Capcom Division 1 is the team behind the mainline Resident Evil and Devil May Cry titles, so should this report prove to be true, it's in even safer hands than ever before. This is only good news to me, personally. So to add to what I've said, but what I said earlier about the idea of this alternate timeline, that there needs to be tweaks, there needs to be additions, there needs to be things within Resident Evil 4 Remake to bring it into this new canon.
Yeah, they really need to retcon everything back into line. Yeah,
like I said, like the expanded universe is so drastic. If they can just tidy it up a little bit, put the right directions in place, tie everything together, it's going to make it a better narrative. It's going to make it a better experience for anyone new coming in. Because as I said, it's 25 years of Resident Evil Max. That's a lot of time. And not everyone is going to go back and play the PS1, the PS2, and all the expanded games. They don't have time. And at this point, these remakes are the perfect excuse to make some alterations. Saying that though Resident Evil 4, its skeleton is going to be so good that they can still deliver the exact same game, add some extra to it, and it's going to be brilliant. Like, unless they suddenly start changing it drastically, which I don't think they will, because they've drip fed enough of the elements from the original story into the remakes and into, say, 7 and presumably 8. They are going to be able to still deliver the same game, but better. There's nothing wrong with M2. M2 did a great job of Resident Evil 2 Remake, and they also did a great job of 3 Remake. The only difference with 3 Remake is from reports, the 2 and 3 were made in conjunction. They were made at the exact same time. So, and the idea of originally having them be a collected pack, but then 2 they sort of worked on 2 a bit more and it became this bigger, ambitious title. So then 3 came out a little bit later. And because of that, it came out and it felt a little subpar. It didn't feel as fleshed out. But that's not, I guess it wasn't a bad thing. It was still good. It just wasn't as good as 2. And I have a feeling that 4 would be a different circumstance again, because it wasn't made in conjunction. It was made, by looks of it, it's made separate, it's made on its own, and that should give it enough time and enough love to put it out. So M2, great start, I really want Division 1 to come and to bring that in and tie that up. Oh, speaking of Division, by the way, did you see in the showcase that like you can get Resident Evil shit in Division 2 now?
Yeah, they've got some cosmetics in Division 2 for Resident Evil.
Now that's how you get me back in that game.
I think you can get like some star patches for your jacket.
Yeah, you can wear the RPD, tactical gear. Because I never played like the Gangs of New York, man, like the DLC, and I love Division 2. And once again, another game of my generation. So, is it enough to bring me back in? I'm not saying no.
Let's talk about Vicarious Visions, Ryan. So Vicarious Visions is the studio behind the recent Insane Trilogy and the latest Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 game. Earlier this week, however, they have merged into the Blizzard side of Activision Blizzard. So from this point forward, the developer will be, quote, fully dedicated to existing Blizzard games and initiatives. This means that it will no longer operate as a lead studio within the organization. A representative told Games Industry, quote, after collaborating with Vicarious Visions for some time and developing a great relationship, Blizzard realized that there was an opportunity for Vicarious Visions to provide long-term support. End quote.
Fucking balls. An absolute balls decision. Vicarious Visions have delivered 2 incredibly successful games recently, right? You know, and they've been a great port house for the longest time. So I understand why they would want to do that and bring them into the Blizzard side, because apparently they'll be joining the development of Diablo 2 remake, and maybe there's some sort of stipulation there. In order for them to work on the remake, they must be part of Blizzard. I don't know why that would be the case. I guess they don't want to add the Vicarious Visions logo to the start of the game. They just want Blizzard.
Probably.
That's probably what it comes down to, something very pedantic like that. But this is not good news, because for me, this brings up a lot of concerns around the future of at least Tony Hawk, right? But
yeah, I feel that this now means we're not getting Tony Hawk's 3 and 4.
But same could be, okay. I think you are right, because Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 is a remake. They'd be remaking 2 and 3, and that's Vicarious Visions' expertise. Where my concern originally was like, what does that mean for Crash? But then again, Toys for Bob did 4 and did a fucking fantastic job. The difference is they made a brand new title, essentially from scratch. There is no real concern there.
Yeah.
Where, because there's still 2 more games that you would want to remake before you head into a new Tony Hawk, which this leads me to believe they ain't doing 3 and 4. They're going straight to a new one.
Maybe.
Yeah, just where they're going. What's your thoughts on this?
It's a bummer, but I guess Blizzard have now acquired some really good people to work on their stuff.
Yeah, but me personally, I couldn't give a shit.
Like, if this now means that I get Diablo 2 remastered, yeah, I'm pretty keen. Diablo 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Am I bummed that this means that we may not see another Tony Hawk's game for a while? Yes.
Yeah. See, I don't care for Blizzard properties at all.
Probably the biggest hit is that Vicarious Vision has kind of now lost their autonomy, and they're just part of the wheels of Blizzard now.
So that's the other hurdle. Like, if they ever want to remake any other cool properties, they can't do it because they're under Blizzard now. And Blizzard only work on Blizzard games. Like, you never hear about Blizzard being involved in, or studio subsidiaries working on other stuff. They only make WoW. They only make Overwatch. They only make fucking Warcraft and whatever, Diablo and shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no chance that they will ever get away from this.
No.
Yeah, and as I said, as someone that doesn't give any shits about Blizzard properties in general, all of them, this is not good news. Not saying it's horrendous news. You know, fuck it, I am saying it's horrendous news. It's ball bags.
It's sucky.
Yeah, it's absolute sucky news. Next up, still hungry, Max. It does seem that Young Horses, the developers of Octodad and Bugsnax, have announced that they ain't done with that Bugsnax. Speaking to Kotaku, senior creative director and writer Kevin Zune says there's more to come. Quote, we're still figuring out what exactly we want to do post-release, but we're definitely not done working on Bugsnax yet. As for that aforementioned post-credit sequence, Zune says he'd hate to leave the plot thread hanging forever. So it's essentially like, Bugsnax can continue into other stories. This is not a bad thing. I believe that Bugsnax, because of its being free on the PS5, as well as a really well-received game, myself included, who completely turned around on it, they probably have enough coin to do this and to make a sequel and stick on that IP. Do I want to see it? I don't know. I didn't want to see Bugsnax 1. It turns out I loved it. So it's a tough one for me.
Yeah, I mean, with the post-credit scene that they mentioned, it definitely feels like more's coming.
Yeah, but it also felt like just that little like fun sort of teaser to be like, yeah, there's more, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I wouldn't mind more.
Yeah, like no, but to me, if like the post-credit scene almost felt like the zombie movie where they're all dead and buried, but then a hand breaks through the grass. You know what I mean? It's that same sort of idea. It's just like, oh, you thought it was done. Whether that means there's a sequel, who knows? But
maybe it's more like post DLC.
Yeah, and I like the idea because like the whole idea of food being these insectoid sort of creatures is cool. There is stacks more food. There are stacks more creatures that can be created. There is 100% potential to do a lot more. And I think if they can bring the same charm and cool narrative and energy and like just this complete charisma that oozes from this game should be good.
Just go full balls to the wall. Become the next Pokemon where you catch food bugs and fight them against other food bugs.
That'd be bad.
Ubisoft crossovers, Ryan. Immortals Phoenix Rising is getting a crossover with Netflix animated show Blood of Zeus. For this week, a mission titled A Tribute to Family will appear in the game.
Not Fast and Furious, sadly.
In it, you'll be able to take on the Chimera and the Cerberus, and once you've cleared it, you'll get a special eagle pendant as well as some Blood of Zeus themed outfits. That's pretty cool. I think it's only running for this week. It started yesterday and runs till next weekend. And for those of you who have been on the fence about Immortals Phoenix Rising, a demo may be heading to a PlayStation near you shortly. Said demo was recently added to the PlayStation Store's database as identified by PSN Release 2 on Twitter. Its release could well coincide with the game's first expansion, A New God. Support for the DLC was added in the title's latest patch last week.
This is great because I know a lot of people that have really been...
Because the demo for this game was originally a Stadia exclusive for some bizarre reason.
Lame. And on top of that, yeah, I know a lot of people that are sort of hesitant. I think a lot of it is because with the name change and sort of its weird aesthetic change from over time as well, people are probably unsure what it is. People are already hesitant of new IPs at the best of times.
I mean, it's fantastic.
It is fantastic. It is once again
fantastic.
One of our games of the year last year, and both of our top threes. I think mine was top 5, but yours is top 3. However, like I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a store manager at Geelong here, and we're chatting about what we've been playing. I'm like, man, Immortals Phoenix Rising is fucking dope. He's like, really? What? We've moved like nothing. So a lot of people are, whether intentionally or unintentionally, not paying attention to this game. And this demo might be enough to push it.
Well,
back in the picture.
it did come out at a really bad time. It came out really close to Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah, so weird. I don't know why I did that.
And most people who are playing their Ubisoft titles are probably going to go for the known quantity of Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
But Immortals Phoenix Rising is arguably just as good in a smaller, shorter package. Which is much more manageable for someone like me these days.
Oh yeah, big time, and it's tonally different as well.
Oh, it's so brilliant.
Next up, one thing that's been going around the rumor mill for a while, Max, is the idea that Sony has this secret studio, and they could be working on a number of different things. So this secret studio, where is it hanging out? Allegedly. It's been built. It's sort of been built in the bungalow of Sony San Diego. It's hid in the backyard. No one's really seen it. It is at this point. It's almost the worst kept secret. So as per the LinkedIn profile of former studio boss Michael Mumbreur, that guy, Sony's not so top secret San Diego studio is currently expanding with quote working upon existing franchises. The project is said to be a AAA action-adventure game that uses proprietary engine tech. Quote, this team has assembled to expand upon existing franchises and craft all new stories for the next generation of gamers. The studio's continued existence was called into question late last year as a couple of high-profile names announced their departure, but that speculation was quickly stamped out by former senior game designer John Bautista, not the wrestler, at the time. He said his exit was due to, quote, personal circumstances and, quote, the studio is still there and the project is still ongoing. As far as he knows that, of course. Let's hope an official announcement of the game takes place this year. Now, the big rumor mill, Max, is this is an Uncharted game. It's a sort of an Uncharted spin-off or a new numbered one. They're not sure. Either way, it's very likely to not include Nathan Drake. Sony San Diego are best known for MLB The Show, which was sort of a big exclusive. But as of this year, it is going multi-platform as per an agreement with Major League Baseball. So it's within their interest to have more people there and do something outside of baseball. I'm pretty excited for this. It's so weird we haven't officially heard anything yet.
Is Uncharted what you want out of the studio, though?
Sure. I don't know. Like, if it's
I like the way they stipulate. They're like, it's a Sony studio. They're working on an already existing IP, and they even went as far to say that it's going to be an action adventure game. Of course, it's going to be an action-adventure game. That's like all Sony IPs are.
They might as well.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's obviously going to be an action-adventure
No.
game.
If they're like it's a third-person action-adventure game, I'm like, what didn't narrow it down? Like, you know, the thing could be like, is this Uncharted? Is this Ragnarok?
No.
But there is the presumption that Ragnarok is being worked at San Diego, right? Sorry, Santa Monica.
Yeah.
But what do we have to go off? As far as we know, Santa Monica might be working on something new. You know, as something we'll talk about in the quick bits. You know, there's potential there that they may be doing something. They may be in pre for something else, and then just passed it over to San Diego. And maybe San Diego will become that sort of supplementary studio.
Maybe they're doing Uncharted, the Sully series.
Ooh.
Maybe we get to play Sully.
Maybe or we'll see where the story. See, this is the other thing. All right, spoilers for Uncharted 4, everyone. The game came out like fucking 5 years ago. At the end of Uncharted 4, you meet the daughter of Nate and Elena. It's led to believe it's looking as if that she's kind of in the same vein of wanting to be an adventurer. Would you want to play a next Uncharted game that involved this character, the daughter?
I mean, it's essentially just it's going to have, and to go back to our anatomy lesson of last week, it's going to have the same skeletal structure as any other Uncharted game. It's going to have a different skin on it. Like, is it really going to matter too much?
There is a hurdle with that, I think, and the hurdle is that Uncharted was made inspired from Indiana Jones and what the original Tomb Raider was, and then Tomb Raider released post Uncharted, taking a lot of inspiration from Uncharted. Now, if they then make an Uncharted game with a female lead, is that just going to be on Tomb Raider? Like, I understand there's only so much you can do in terms of the history focused exploration games that we see with the likes of Tomb Raider and Uncharted, you know, and now that there's a literal Indiana Jones game coming, like, what is there for them to work within? Like, I feel like it's getting a little incestuous. They're all sort of like drinking from the same cup almost. And like, as much as I'd love to see more Uncharted, don't get me wrong, because even if Nathan Drake's there in cameo or Elena's there in cameo, like, I loved The Lost Legacy. The Lost Legacy expanded on that world in such a great way. We saw more Claire, we saw more Nadine, you know, and that was awesome. There were two characters you really didn't know a lot about, and you start to see how they fit into this greater world. That I would love to see more than a continuation of the Drake bloodline. Because in the same way that I love Star Wars, but I'm also sick of seeing Skywalkers.
Fair enough.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't have too big of an opinion on it, having never played any of the Uncharted series.
Oh, you've
So
watched
I
your
just-
wife play the whole time, eh?
I've seen them all being played because my wife has played them because she's a huge Tomb Raider fan, and I'm like, well, why don't you play Uncharted? Uncharted is Tomb Raider with a penis. So that was the selling point for that, and she really enjoyed them. But yeah, I mean, maybe they could expand on Nadine's story, and we play the Nadine series of Uncharted, or we play Sully's Uncharted, or I think sticking with the Drake family could be the wrong idea, but we'll have to wait and see. They could surprise us all and not release Uncharted. It could be some other action adventure game that Sony works on.
Like what?
I can't think of anything apart from that God of War and
Ape Escape.
like last. I'd love a new Ape Escape game.
That'd be cool. It's action. It's actiony. It's a bit of adventure-y. Why the fuck not?
All right, Ryan. There's some interesting stuff in the quick bits today, but there wasn't enough to do a whole section on them. David Hayter, the iconic English voice of Solid Snake and Big Boss, recently got together with the original voice talent of Metal Gear Solid through the magic of Zoom. Hayter then posted the call on Twitter, teasing that details are coming soon. What details, Ryan? What are we getting about a Metal Gear reunion?
Remake, motherfucker!
Is this what they're making? Is this what San Diego are making? They're making Metal Gear Solid
No.
1 again. Are they redoing Metal Gear Solid? Have we got it wrong? Is it not Blue Point that are working on Metal Gear Solid? Is it actually San Diego working on Metal Gear Solid?
That would be dope. That would be so dope. Oh.
It turns out, Ryan, that the last Assassin's Creed Valhalla patch broke everyone's faces.
Awesome.
So there will be a fix in an upcoming patch. Hitman 3 had its biggest digital launch in its franchise history, beating out 1 and 2. Now, granted, Hitman 3 launched to a lot more platforms. It's also on Switch and Stadia, so there's an extra 2 platforms for it to launch on. And obviously, both of those have, especially Stadia being a digital product, it makes sense, but good for them for breaking records.
Yeah.
PlayStation Plus currently looks at a steal at, now I haven't done the conversions on these because I was really lazy, but it's £59 for 12 months compared to the Microsoft's new pricing at £49 for 6 months.
Yeah, so over the weekend, it was announced that Microsoft are bumping the prices on their
just their Xbox Live Gold
service.
not Games Pass.
Yeah, so
I think
in
they're
the
trying
US,
to push everyone to buy Games Pass Ultimate, which is bundled with Xbox Live Gold, and that because late last year they also got rid of being able to buy 12-month subscriptions of Xbox Live Gold. It was 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and that was it. You couldn't buy a year.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're spot on. It looks like they're pushing in the direction of that because they said in some region it's near doubled. Like here, I think it's only a little bit.
I think it was a $5 increase.
Yeah, it's not too gnarly here, but we're already paying, I think, substantially more anyway. So that is good, but it is dirty. But who the fuck doesn't have Games Pass if you're an Xbox player?
Pretty much. The Predator, the T-800, and Sarah Connor have all joined the Fortnite bandwagon, Ryan.
Lame.
The Uncharted movie has been delayed to February 22nd of next year due to the global pandemic.
Release it on digital, you fucks.
Horizon Forbidden West production has increased now that the PC patches will slow down for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Good.
They are kicking it into full gear.
And
lastly,
if it's coming out the back end of this year, you'd fucking hope so.
Sony Santa Monica have taken to Twitter this week seeking a new art director for the development of a new unannounced title.
That's my point, brother. That's my point. Like, that's why but maybe they aren't working on that. Like, they ain't Ragnarok was never in their hands. San Diego could be Uncharteding. They could be God of Warring. They could be Metal Gear Soliding.
Do you think that Sony Santa Monica would give away what is thought to be the
They've done
sequel
it.
of their
They've done it before.
of their newly rebooted title.
They probably could. Like, what if they've just set the framework and stepped aside? Like, what if this isn't an actual sequel? This is an expansion. The same idea of the Lost Legacy, right? Like, maybe it's sort of a fancy pants DLC. It's Miles Morales. We don't know. In the time that it's taken to deliver this from release, it's hard to think it is a full title. It has to be some sort of expansion because it isn't God of War 2. Because they'd be dumb because there's already a God of War 2. Like, I feel
But there was also already a God of War.
Yeah, it's reboots. Different.
Like they've rebooted this, but there's also the it depends. If they're not changing the setting location, they've already built their world.
That wouldn't make it a very good sequel. This isn't 2002 where you can just reskin a game and call it a sequel. Like if you go through the same spaces and do the same things, that game will be demolished. Like this, the only way they can deliver it in the time that they originally planned to, which was the back end of this year, presumably, or 2021, as that video showed.
So you believe that it's the Miles Morales, the lost legacy of God of War?
Yes. If they were hoping to deliver it this year, only 3 years after it's 2018, so 3 years, that doesn't seem enough.
I mean, it depends on how long they've been working on it. They might have wrapped God of War, and they'd already started working on the next one.
Yeah, and then from that we hear that Corey Barlog's working on something else anyway. So it's like, okay, and then now these new roles are popping up. Like, I would say it's very likely that because they should have taken some time off, and they probably took 2 months off, 3 months maybe, and like that still leaves like a year, 2 and a bit years. You think you can get a full game developed in 2.5 years?
I have no idea. I'm not a game developer. CD Projekt Red couldn't, but
yeah,
who knows?
They couldn't get it done. They couldn't produce a game in fucking 8 years. And even though I love Sony Santa Monica and I love God of War, I do doubt that they could deliver a full-blown sequel in 2 years.
Fair enough.
So that's my prediction anyway. So either it's being handled by Monica or Monica are in pre-production on a new game and San Diego could potentially be the ones working on God of War Ragnarok. Because once again, that little teaser did not show Sony Santa Monica's logo. They didn't show anything. All they did was show the Omega symbol. That's it. We don't know who. We are only presuming that they are working on God of War. And granted, we've not heard anything otherwise. Probably for good reason, because it's not true. Like, they're working on it. Like, Ryan, what are you speculating on? But, who knows? But then again, it's very likely Uncharted. Fun fact. All right, Max, here are the top 10 best-selling games in Australia on the PS4, because they still don't do the PS5 numbers yet for some reason. Number 10, Marvel's Spider-Man. Number 9, The Crew 2, which is a weird one, because I think the new DLC dropped this week. Number 8, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Number 7, GT Sport. Number 6, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Number 5, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 4, Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 3, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition. Number 2, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. And number 1, Grand Theft Auto 5. It's the holidays, man. It's a bunch of kids that they either got themselves banned earlier in the year and they had to play it again over the Christmas break. Damn.
Crazy.
Fucking damn. How many fucking copies of this game are out there? It's getting insane. It's getting absolutely insane.
I mean, I have it on 3 separate platforms, so
me too.
like I'm not helping the cause. I own it on PlayStation, PC, and Xbox.
I have PS3, PS4, and PC.
Upcoming releases, Ryan, there's not much. We have Cyber Shadow coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 on the 26th of January. We have Disjunction coming to PlayStation 4 on the 28th of January. And we have the Turrican Flashback coming to PlayStation 4 on the 29th of January.
Fuck are any of those games?
I have no idea.
Awesome.
One of them has a PS5 release.
Oh.
The other 2 are just playable on backwards compatibility.
Oh, well, I'm going to keep playing Hitman.
I'm also going to keep playing Hitman.
There's no games to get you excited this week, everybody. We're terribly sorry. But it is that slow burn, and we should hopefully be getting some things very, very soon.
Play your Christmas backlog.
Yeah, get the backlog done. That's sort of what I'm working on. Or just reinstall old games for no reason, like I have been doing. Like I put 2 Point Hospital back on there because that's a really good like checkout game. And it's kind of like good stuff, man. Good stuff. But anyways, that does bring us to the back end of the show. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Whether they are here on Twitch, that's twitch.tv/the Pop Cultures. Like the likes of Park and Sarah and Joe, who's there for a little bit. It's good to have everyone come and join the show. For those who don't know, we do normally do it on a Saturday afternoon. That's 4 p.m. Australian Eastern, whatever time of the year it is. Sometimes we do it on a Sunday if need be. So next week, we are on a Sunday if you did want to join. Puck says it's always good to be here, which is handy because he's here to like be our fact checker, which we really appreciate. But and of course, as we said at the start of the show, both Max and I are continuing, or I'm continuing my weight loss journey this year. Max kicking it in a gear. So if you do want to help support the show, support us, and start your own weight loss journey, check out the link in the description below. That's FTP. So it's bit.ly/FTP manshake. Maybe you could do what I did, lose 30 kilos in 12 months. Who knows? I'm so excited for what you can do, Max. I'm really, really stoked.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how much I can.
Yeah, that and I'm hoping to go back to I'm hoping to go to start the gym this year for the first time ever. Best case scenario, come packed. You'll be thin. I'll be jacked. It's gonna be awesome. All right, send us home, Max.
All right, everyone. This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning on podcast services, including at 8 a.m. on Mondays. Podcast services including Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, please check out our socials: Facebook, Discord, Instagram, Twitter. All our links are in the description below.
And that includes our personal Twitter accounts, which you can find below our faces right now. Max is new to Twitter, but we're having a ton of fun on there, as we always do. If you want to support the show, if you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopcultures, where you can watch us record this show live and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you do follow us, if you listen to us on the podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. Or if you are on the YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopcultures, as well as our merchandise store, popcultures.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And that was For the Players.